Okay, I'll call this meeting to order, please. It's the regular council meeting of Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. Just to remind everybody that members of the public can be present in the council chambers during the meeting. But also please note that the webinar will be recorded and published to the city's YouTube site. The first item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda, and the recommendation is that the agenda for the regular council meeting be adopted. Will someone make that motion? Councillor Butler, Councillor Wilson, all those in favor? That was carried, thank you. Item number 2 is adoption of the minutes, and the recommendation is that the minutes for the Governance and Operations Committee meeting and the regular council meeting, both held October 28th, 2024, be adopted as circulated. Councillor Martin, Councillor Wilson, thank you. All those in favor? Thank you, carried. This evening, we have a delegation with us, and we have Sergeant Mike Wasenowicz here to go over the 2024 third quarter crime statistics. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you for having me. So we are talking about July, August, and September, third quarter of 2024 with the statistics. And I'll compare this quarter to last quarter, as those are usually our best comparisons. So we did have 2 attempted homicides, but that was 2 people in the same incident. But it was a shooting. However, the people who were the victims in that weren't cooperative, so it's still under investigation, but we don't resolve it. We're not in, it's scored as that, but we're not even entirely sure if it was an attempted homicide, but that's our best guess at this time. Assaults remains the same at 35. Assaults are fairly common. This is the statistic that we have right now is pretty typical of in-trail. Sexual offenses were at 7 rather than 6 last quarter. We usually get between 8 and 10. Sometimes if there's a serial offender, we'll get more, but again, this is within normal expectations. Obviously tragic, but not a concern in the amount of volume, I should say. Robberies were at 0. Robberies are relatively rare just because they involve a certain set of circumstances. It's basically theft with violence. It doesn't happen very often. Auto thefts were at 9. Mostly these are people leaving keys in their car, getting their cars taken. Most of them are recovered, relatively unscathed. Break-in enters were down by half. Sometimes we get people through the area and they specialize in break-in enters. Mostly it's outbuildings or businesses. It's not really houses. We don't really get a lot of break-in enters into houses here. But these are more like sheds, garages, people's businesses downtown, unfortunately, but they are half, which means sometimes there's somebody in town who does a lot of them and the numbers spike up, but this is actually relatively low for this quarter. Theft from motor vehicles are at 7. This is astounding because before I think we had 100 to 200 per quarter, but people are locking the doors and removing their valuables. Some of the theft from motor vehicles actually might be animals. Sometimes we go there and it looks like animals, so people are reporting that their cars were broken into by somebody. But drug investigations are up to 10. We do have, due to recent shortages, drug investigations, plus the area, plus decriminalization exemption has really affected drug investigations. They've dropped, but we're hoping to get them back on track. We believe that a strong drug enforcement program does help reduce fatalities through drug use as well as drug trafficking in the area and takes a hit at organized crime. We are seeing our numbers slowly climb back up, and we're hoping to get our crime reduction unit running again. And they target a lot of drug trafficking. Before I go to the overalls, motor vehicle collisions, 37, that's about, not too far off last quarter's. Fatals, 1. And that was a bit of an interesting one. The person on a scooter was hit. They died about a month later in hospital. It still counts as a fatal, and there's an ongoing investigation. So it was unfortunate. I don't know if there'll be any criminal repercussions, but there'll probably be some kind of fine or things associated to it. Those ones are difficult because they don't occur, that doesn't occur at the time, so we do have to attribute the injuries back to the accident. Sometimes that can be challenging. Impaired driving, it was relatively the same when you combine impaired driving with the criminal code and what we call immediate roadside prohibitions. They're both very effective in dealing with impaired driving. So we had 18, whereas last quarter we had 15. We're usually running 20 or like 15 to 20 impaired driving enforcement actions every quarter. Violation tickets were up. Negative contact with youth is a bit of a weird category. Like I wouldn't say negative. Sometimes it's just contact with youth over, regular stuff, but nothing really to mention there. Mental health calls are back up. What's interesting though, we're waiting to see how the new shelter, which has been very effective on reducing the amount of people on the street. So we're waiting to see if those drop. So what's happened is the old shelter closed and it offered nightly beds to whoever was there. The alley, not only contained the people who were sleeping in the shelter, but their friends, because that's where everybody went to meet up, plus people from out of town looking for a street party. Since we've moved to the new shelter model, the 26 people who live there, we rarely see them outside of the shelter. And then the group that was associated to the back alley has dispersed. Now, we still have a few people around town, but much less. We had Bobby Briscoe counting, and I think she was estimating over 80. Be very interested to know what our numbers are now, because I think we're down to like half that. What we saw when the old shelter closed, there was a group of about 10, 15 people from out of area that were here just to party for the summer, like, because people who are unhoused, who are drug addicts, go vacationing, just like everybody else. They were here for a quote vacation. But once everybody was inside and they couldn't access them, they just left to go find other places because there's no party left. So it's been interesting, like we were going down to the alley 10, 12 times a day on bad days, maybe more. Now we rarely go to the new shelter. And we do, it's more of a medical issue. I think with the new manager and the way the shelter's set up, it's much better run and there's much more accountability. There is a loss of a bed if there's any type of theft or violence, or if you don't show up for a couple days. And that seems to be an effective way of keeping people on track as well as connected to their care providers. So I think it's made a difference for us. We still do have a small amount of people that are unhoused, but also untreated on the street. Its behavior is about the same, but there's much less incidents. Files involving alcohol and drugs, I think largely to do the increase was there's an area of decriminalization. There's a lot of people in town openly using drugs as well as alcohol. There's parties, quote, on the street. So that we saw that jump up significantly, but if it's a nice summer, warm weather, people show up to town. We have 80 or so people in town. I don't think it's like 200 incidents, over 200 incidents are that unusual. These also might involve times where we've administered Narcan. And there was a small period there where myself issued it 3 times, just driving around town. There was a particularly strong, potent amount of drugs in town. And as a matter of habit, every day, a couple times a day, I just go downtown and check to see who was down, and turned out to be effective during that time. Domestic violence, there's a very tragic homicide last Monday, and it involved domestic violence. So it's nice to see that the number of incidents are low in our community. They've always been low, and 5 is a very low number. However, horrible violence in domestic situations can strike any time, and so it's always good to make that a priority and keep it as low as possible and prevent deaths. The last time I checked, half of homicides are between men and women in a domestic relationship. Check well-beings, suspicious occurrences, unspecified assists. These are just general files, people calling us. So there is a bit of an argument. People say, oh, when your stats are down, people aren't calling in, but it actually is the opposite, where these numbers have drastically increased because people are calling because they trust the police. They're calling to get assistance that may not be traditionally the kind of arrest and charge scenario. Check Well Beans are checking on their, perhaps people that need, like, are sick. We have located people who unfortunately were deceased, but also people who were sick, ill, needed assistance. With suspicious persons vehicle occurrences, the public has a very good idea of what to report, and 218 reports of things that may possibly be issues. Whether or not they are, were dealt with, and so they're basically, it's like having a great neighborhood watch through your entire town. And unspecified assistance are just general stuff that comes in. You get a lot of questions, a lot of requests for public appearances or lectures or things like that. So it shows to me that people are calling the police to ask them questions, seek their help, or maybe get them to check out things that they think is suspicious. So total violent files or files involving violence were 64 compared to 62. That is relatively low. So there is a crime severity index that every detachment's rated on, and we're always very low compared to other places that might be extremely high. And that's the amount of violent incidents per population, but even though we do have violence here, it's not as high as other places. It's actually quite low. Property fences were up. However, you can see in the stats, a lot of it was down. But it doesn't mean things mostly get stolen from people's yards or things that are unsecured from their cars, from their yards. But overall, I think we're doing better. In total criminal code, we're up to 554 from 417. Total calls for service, we're up about 100, but overall, I think we had a good quarter. Some unusual incidents, but for the most part, I don't think there's anything to be overly concerned about, aside from the general, existence of crime and the constant battle to keep it in check. Any questions?
Any questions?
More just a comment. It's great to hear the feedback on the shelter.
It's made such a massive difference.
It's
It's
so nice to hear
unbelievable.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe when we get a chance to talk with Chief Derby as well, I'm sure he'll echo that. So yeah, thanks for the feedback.
I know it was a tough fight, but it was actually one worth fighting for. It's made a humongous difference. And people who have been chronically upset and, subject to activities from the alley, given some of the people down there have been very complimentary. People I've never thought would pay us a compliment and have, or I want to say us, you guys.
Well, that's nice to. Nice to
Yeah.
hear that, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, excellent choice. It's really it's so far seems very well run.
So, do you think that the numbers are up in the third quarter here because of the transition period?
It's summer.
People just trying to
Summer always has a higher chance of fluctuation because more people are outside doing more things and we get more people in town. Part of it also might be just because there's more activity in trail. Like I think I've noticed, like, it seems like there's always traffic. It seems like there's always people. I'm meeting people from all over the place that are new here. So I think that maybe we're on an upward trend of population and people visiting. So that could be part of it, but also it's, nice summers. People come here and visit. I think 100 files in the summer is not like a significant change. If we, had a 500 files in the winter, yeah, I'd be wondering what's going on, but I think we're pretty much where we usually are, and I think it's probably because there's more interest in the area. People are discovering the trail, that's anecdotal, but it seems like the Kootenays are getting popular.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
If there's no other questions, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
tonight.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
And Colin, if you want to go over statistics and numbers and why your certain billings happening through the RCMP, just feel free to give me a call because I can explain it. We have a very challenging system to record those and we can discuss it more.
Great. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks.
Mike.
Thanks.
Have a
Thank
good day.
you. Okay, public question period. See no one here. Under item number 5 is communications, and we have 2 proclamation requests. The first one is from the Adoption and Permanency Awareness Month And it's also recognizing that there are children and youth who need permanent homes to call their own, with caring adults who will nurture and support them, and campaign for successes. The lung cancer awareness month. Surprisingly, reading this, I did not realize that lung cancer was the most prevalent cancer that there is. I did not realize that it was the one that lung cancer screening is really helpful for high risk cancers, and individuals who do get the screening have had really good luck with treatment. So these are two proclamation requests that we have before us. Is there someone to make the recommendation, please? Councillor Butler and Councillor Wilson. All those in favor? Thank you very much. The adoption of the Governance and Operation Committee recommendations from October 28, 2024, and the recommendation is that council authorize the closure of City Hall on Monday, December 23rd, Tuesday, December 24th, and Friday, December 27th, 2024. Ms. Butler, do you have anything to add to that?
No, but I'm sure staff will be very excited to hear.
So we'll deal with these recommendations separately. So if someone could make that motion, Councillor Martin, thank you. Councillor Wilson, all those in favor? Thank you, carried. The next recommendation is that council approve the 2025 council meeting schedule as followed in the report. Is there someone to make that Thank you, Councillor Butler, Councillor Wilson. All those in favor of the schedule? Thank you very much. That was carried. And the next recommendation that is that council approve the acting mayor schedule as followed. And you have the schedule before you. Is there someone to make that recommendation, please? Councillor Cashel and Councillor Wilson. All those in favor? Thank you. That was carried. And the next item is that the 2024 third quarter financial report for the 9 months ended September 30th, 2024 be received for information. Councillor Martin and Councillor Cashel and Councillor Wilson. Councillor Martin made the motion, Councillor Cashel seconded it. All those in
That's
favor? Thank you.
I
That was
jumped again.
carried. You got ahead of me
I
there,
jumped
Councillor
again.
Wilson.
I jumped again.
In the bylaws, we have, sorry, go ahead.
To release from in Canada.
Okay, I was gonna do that under the communication part, but I,
Oh, sorry, Kendra.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I
that's-
had it. Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Butler. So I'm sorry, under 5.2, we do have something, communications that we're bringing forward from the closed council meeting. And that is on the Trail Public Library Board appointments. And that is the Trail Public Library Board appointments. The recommendation is that Jeff Jones, Mark Wilson, Catherine McCormick, Menachie Balojo, and Deanna Gonzalez be appointed as city representatives on the board of the Trail Public Library, and that council appoint Councillor Paul Butler as a council representative to the board for the 2025 term. Councillor
Make the
Wilson,
motion.
thank you. Councillor Martin, second. All those in favor? Thank you. That was carried. Thanks for that, Jim Butler. Okay, we did the, oh. Bylaws. Council procedure bylaw number 2946, 2024. And that is that council procedure bylaw number 2946, 2024 be adopted. Councillor Cashel and Councillor Butler, thank you. On to, sorry, all those in favor? That was carried, thank you. On to the council committee report. Counselor Benson is away, Spencer Regret, Counselor Butler, have you had anything? Thank you. Counselor Cashel,
Nothing to report, Mayor Johnson.
thank you. Counselor Hanson, sends regrets. Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. On behalf of the council, I attended the following meetings. On Wednesday, October 30th, I attended a meeting trail with the rest of the board, the RDKB board, to discuss the future of the Regional District Grand Forks office. The building needs some upgrades, which Urban Architectures, Inc. has been hired to provide the board with options to discuss, which range from renovating the existing building to building a new facility or to buy another property and possibly renovate that. Urban Architecture will be providing the board a report, hopefully at the end of December, meeting detailing each of the options and cost. Also on Wednesday, October 30th, there was a regional district financial planning workshop held in Trail for the board, which was provided, excuse me, by the new chief financial officer, Farhad Hussein. We had an RDKB board meeting on Wednesday, October 30th. And we had a delegation from Tourism Roslyn, which provided an update on activities to date. The board adopted a 3-year accessibility plan. And that board meeting was Regional District Chair Linda Worley's last meeting as chair. She stepped down and will not be running again for the role of chair. On Thursday, November 7th, I attended a Regional District Liquid Waste Management Plan meeting in Trail, which we were provided an update on the construction of the Columbia Pollution Control Center. They're still having issues with contaminated soils at the site, but construction is moving along. I just wanted to let everyone know that tomorrow is the statutory meeting for the regional district. That meeting is held annually after the November 1st, in which the board votes on the chair and vice chair positions. This year, I'm letting my name stand for vice chair, and I'll let everyone know what happens after the vote tomorrow. That's it for my report. Feel free to contact me anytime if you have any questions.
Thank you, Counselor Martin. Any questions for Counselor Martin and his report? Counselor Wilson,
Your worship, nothing to report tonight.
okay,
Thanks.
thank you, Counselor Wilson. Okay, I have a few items here, just to, let council know, just some of the things that have been happening, and I think through emails and that you have a good idea, but from our special council meeting where we did the emergency treatment fund application. I just wanna, we haven't heard anything on it. It's pretty sudden or soon to be hearing from them, but the fact that council, supported that unanimously was wonderful. A lot of work went into that meeting or into that proposal. A lot of meetings, a lot of research. So we're really hoping that we hear something back from them, sooner than later, but we're looking for a positive outcome on that. I also wanted to let council know that this year, the regional district, with the help of the regional district and Interior Health and BC Housing, we've been working on the emergency weather response shelter already. We are well ahead of the game than we were last year. We have everything pretty much in place, working very closely with BC Housing, and has been really effective this year, and the regional district too. I have to say that Mark Stevens has been very helpful through the whole process, because we had to go in and update our plan from last year, because at the end of November 2023, that plan was not effective anymore. We had to go in and update quite a few of the different areas of process there. So we hear that this year it's going to be colder and more extended periods of cold and winter. So I'm excited to have that shelter planned and ready to move forward when we have to, and it will be for 20 individuals that will be able to come in and have a warm space overnight. On October the 30th, I attended an orientation and training session with the volunteers that will be helping at the shelter. And there were 15 volunteers there that went through the process, watched the training modules, did the naloxone training, so they can help in the shelter. And it was really just great to see so many people turn out and be interested in supporting it. So if anybody is interested in helping at that shelter, you can get a hold of Carly Moore or Tammy McLean or myself, and I will direct you to the right people to get you involved. And if you have your basic first aid certificate or your food safe certificate, that would be very, very helpful. If not, we can still find a place for you to help out down there. On Saturday, I was invited to represent the city at the annual Remembrance Day dinner at the Legion. And it was made and served by the Ladies Auxiliary from the Royal Canadian Legion. And a very nice event. It was great to participate in that. And, you know, so many of the members of the Legion are just, they've been there for so long and, you know, supporting the Legion and remembering the, you know, the veterans. And so it was nice just to remember the sacrifices that our veterans have made, but also to recognize the freedom that we get because of them. And then also on Remembrance Day, myself and council enjoyed the opportunity to participate in the Remembrance Day parade. And although it was very rainy in the morning and cold in the morning, it was still a great service and great to see so many community members came out to participate in that. And it was a great event, and I'm always humbled and happy to see such a good turnout on that day. And that's my report tonight. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you. So, on the consent agenda, we have one item, and that is the Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General, the UBCM meeting follow-up. And the recommendation is that the item be received for information. Councillor Butler, thank you. Councillor Martin, seconded. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Any new business tonight? And we also have before you the department reports. The bylaw enforcement report for October 2024. And the recommendation is that this report be received for information. Councillor Wilson, thank you, and Councillor Cashel is seconding. All those in favor? That was carried, thank you. And item number 12 is adjournment. Councillor Cashel, Councillor Wilson, all those in favor? Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.